everybody. Super excited today. Got my good friend, Mr. High Energy himself, Nicholas Nick. And we're going to get right into it. These are 20 minutes, not 19, not 21. We are going to jump right into the top 3 mistakes you are making when pursuing a lead. Nicholas, let's go. What's number 1?
Okay, number 1 mistake. So I think the first thing is we try to do it all ourselves. Mm-hmm. So many people, they don't respect all the nuances. I remember I had a customer call me up once and he goes, Nick, I want to run my cold calling operations by you real quick. I'm like, yeah, lay it on me. He goes, okay, well, I hired a Filipino off of Fiverr. Okay, that's mistake number 1. Okay, and I got my list from some Indian guy who DM'd me because I was in a Facebook group. Okay, that's mistake number 2.
Number 2, you're chalking them up here. You're racking them up.
And then, well, this is under the first one still. But then, and it's like, these are mistakes that people make, right? And then I said, well, what script are they using? Oh, well, we're addressing everybody by name. Okay. And that was another mistake. And before I knew it, and this is funny, I've been in business for 8 years and you forget how much you do right.
Right. Sure. Like, because it becomes second nature.
Right. Well, yeah, like your transaction coordinators, like for them to fuck up, but they have to go out of their way. They have to forget everything they know. Right. And it's like we swing the hammer so many times we don't even realize we got the perfect swing down.
Right.
And it wasn't until I spoke to this customer that I was like, holy shit, there's a bunch of nuances to this. Yeah. And I could keep going. Are you buying enough phone numbers? Are they local to the area? Are you putting them at 100 dials per day maximum? You know? So when we think about outsourcing, one of the smartest things a customer ever said to me was, Nick, I don't want to do what you do because if I do lead gen, now I own a lead generation business and a wholesaling business.
That's true.
And if we break that down, what I'm getting at is lead gen is an art.
Right.
And closing deals is an art. And do you really have the bandwidth to perfect 2 completely different arts? At the same, can you really hound your acquisition manager and your dispo and your comper and your contracts and chase down a $3 an hour Filipino and listen to all of his phone calls and tell him what he's doing? And I would say that is number 1. Number 1 is we try to bring it in-house.
Yeah. And, there's some weird sickness that we have in our industry, or maybe it's because we're hustlers and entrepreneurs and business owners that I have to do everything myself. Nobody can do it as good as me. Nobody's as smart as me. All that fucking just bullshit.
Right. Well, and I think that's, and I actually love that you said that. I mean, a lot of people, because the average person, they are not going to cold call themselves. No. And I think the other big part of the industry, the problem is they don't know how to do it. So they think that if they give it to a $3 an hour employee, that somehow they're going to figure it out.
Right.
And I remember one time I was a restaurant manager, and this could be mistake number 2, thinking that someone you pay is smarter than you, right off of the bat. And I'm not saying that they're not, but you are the master. I remember I worked at this restaurant, and the manager was running around yelling at these employees because she missed something.
Yeah.
She missed it. And she's like, why didn't you catch it? Yelling at the employees. And I said, hey, can I talk to you in the back real quick?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, well, you didn't catch it either.
So let's just take it easy here.
Yeah. Like, hey, are you really expecting the person who gets stoned before work to come in and catch your mistakes? Because I don't think that's going to happen. And that's not a knock on employees or leadership.
Yeah.
That's an understanding that the buck ends with us as the leadership.
Right.
And just because we paid them does not mean that they know better, that they know how, or that they're going to do it either.
Yeah, no, it takes time to cultivate those people. First off, hey, we all mess up. We all fuck up. Great. Let's learn from it. Let's try, even when someone on your team messes up, right? Unless it's just flagrantly just didn't give a crap. Like, hey man, I get it. You did your best. Here's what we could have done different. Here's how we could have made that come out a little bit different. But yeah, it takes time to build that team where, they're on the same mission as you and they believe in you and where you're going and all that type of stuff. But to run around, and the same thing happens with VAs. We see it all the time. And that's, I hired somebody, they say they're trained, whatever, and I'm just hiring them off of Fiverr or wherever it is, and then expecting them to run my business.
Yeah, dude, it happens all the time. And I think the big piece that a lot of people miss, first of all, training is one thing, but the real piece of leadership is accountability.
Right.
So one thing I am ninja at, and I do it secondhand, and I think it's just because I'm a son of a bitch. Okay. But if I tell you something, I'm messaging you a week later and I'm saying, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
Hey, did you do the thing I told you to do?
Yeah. That we all agreed you would do.
Right. That's right. And how's that coming? Because the other point is, if they do it and you don't follow up with them, they go, it didn't work.
Or it wasn't important. He was just saying that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it didn't work, so I stopped doing it. And you never asked, so I thought it was up to me. And it's like, whoa, like, hold on, why didn't it work? How were you saying it? What were you doing? So, I'd say accountability is the biggest part of leadership. It's not, well, I told him to do it. Yeah, fuck that. Did you make sure he did it?
Yeah.
Because you can tell anyone anything you freaking want to, but if you're not ensuring that it got done, so I'll drop that nugget for everyone. Accountability is what's missing in your training process, not often the training itself.
Yeah, and probably because I know I've been guilty of this. I've had this in the past, and most of us who are business owners were visionaries, so it's a million fucking ideas just running through our brain, continuously. And like, hey, we're gonna do this. Hey, we're gonna do this. Hey, we're just changing shit so often that our employees feel like they're standing on quicksand.
And I would love to talk about that. So, I call that being a 2-week warrior.
Yeah.
Okay. And if your employees catch you creating policies and not giving a shit 2 weeks later, you're fucked. Okay. Yeah. They're not going to listen to you. Every time you walk into their office with your head on fire, they're going to go, yeah, you do this every week, Bill. Go on, go back to your office and sit down and shut up. Okay. 2 weeks later, you're not going to give a shit about this initiative and you're going to start a whole new one. Right. And that's to your point, accountability fixes that. When we are constantly following up, they're like, oh, fuck, he wasn't kidding around. he's really making sure we're doing this shit now. Yeah, and the other part is, if you were a 2-week warrior, it's okay. You can end it today, right? And
you can make it all better.
And you know what I used to do is I'd go up to my employees and I'd own it. Hey, look, I know I brought this up and I never enforced it. And I never said you had to do it. That's my bet. I've said this as a restaurant manager several times. That's me being a bad leader.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm not going to do that anymore. But you know what? Next time I tell you something, let's work together on it. Right. Why don't we set up daily check-ins and you call me at the last 10 minutes of your shift and tell me how your day went? That's one thing I do now is I don't call my fucking employees. I say, you call me. Okay. Like, I'm busy. A ringing phone gets answered, right?
That's right.
But I'm not like sitting around going, who can I call?
Who can I bother right now?
Right. But instead, when things are new, I create a reach out. And then I go, hey, you didn't reach out the last 2 days. What's going on? Yeah. Oh, well, you seem busy. Did I tell you not to call me if you think I'm busy? Was that? Yeah. I don't remember saying that. It's like, look, I am busy. I'm making time for you. So reach out to me. And then we use the accountability. Again, everything's accountable, right? I'll tell you what, I don't say a single thing I don't follow up with. And the truth is, if I don't care, then I don't say it.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I think that's important. Even years ago, I know that it would happen to me where I'm like, hey, we're going to do this. And then, or you make a plan, right? A New Year's resolution or whatever, your goals. And then you get halfway through the year and like, we're not doing any of this shit. Well, we do now. We have meetings with our leadership team every 2 weeks. Right. Are we doing the thing? If we're scrapping it, that's cool. We're all agreeing together that, hey, something's changed. And, this is what we thought back in November or December. Now it's March. Now we're going to make this little adjustment.
Absolutely. And we've all definitely fallen victim to that. I think as entrepreneurs, it gets worse, but different. So what I would share is with marketing initiatives, it makes sense, right? Because, hey, I'm going to pursue this, I'm going to do that. But with employees, systems, and processes, it doesn't, right? And so it's like when that position is outlined, that's the position. We had something come up today. One of my employees, they sent the text message, and I was like, guys, what do we like? It's almost like if a cop pulls you over and he goes, hey, just so you know, I can't choke you out.
So I can't tase you. Just in case you were curious.
Right. It's like, well, why are we starting with all this information, right?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I'm here to protect you. That's why the cop is present. It's not. I'm not going to start by divulging, and it's like that's out of policy. Hey guys, it's not the policy to start saying all this confusing information It's like, hey, I can't shoot you unless you pull your gun first. Or like,
but if you do,
if you do, it's over. But it's like, so it's like certain things like that happen in policy. And I would say with employees and processes, come up, make up your mind and stick to it. When it comes to marketing and creating where your business is going, that makes sense to be a two-way warrior. Yeah. Because we're figuring out, hey, we already have what we're doing. We're going to create a new path. You don't always want to set that new path in stone if you're not sure.
Yeah, there's always got to be a little bit of flexibility, right? We were talking about that before we popped on here with marketing. Like, we're going to try some stuff, and it'll work or it won't, and we'll see, and then we'll kind of adjust from there, and that's what gives us our longevity. All right, so we talked about the first and second thing. What is the third thing that you're screwing up when pursuing leads?
Man, this is the big one. This is my new hot button.
Okay, let's hear it.
This is over disqualifying leads.
What do you mean? What I don't even know what that means.
There's this like rhetoric that's like, you got to hear no 10 times before you get a yes, right?
You have to wear a tight black t-shirt and a gold chain and,
right.
And be working out to say that on Instagram.
Yeah. And it's like, and I agree that you are going to get a bunch of no's before a yes, right? Sure. However, what I notice seasoned investors doing is after they get a yes, they're trying to make them a no again.
Really?
Okay? Yeah, I know it sounds so stupid, but they're like, I had this one client tell me, he says, you know what I do? He goes, if they look like they were being sarcastic, I call them up and I say, you don't really want to sell this house to me, do you? And then they go, no, I don't. And I hang up the phone. And he's like, well, you didn't teach anybody any lessons there, right?
Yeah.
What I would
say, you didn't get the result you wanted, right?
Right. And it's like they already said yes. And my new theory, so everyone watching knows this, anyone who fucking says yes in 2025 and the answer isn't yes, fuck that person anyways, okay? Yeah. It's like, I'm going to follow up with you 15 times on cold calls. You're going to get 200 text messages and emails. If you're a false yes in 2025, you deserve to be followed up with.
Yeah.
Okay? So if someone said yes to you, don't try to flip them back into a no. Try to figure out why the fuck they said yes in the first place, right? So, hey, like I call them up. Oh yeah, I was just bullshitting. I said give me $500,000. Well, yeah, look, I get that, bud, and that's why I just wanted to call anyways. But you must have considered selling, right? I mean, at some point. I mean, why would you even say 500,000 if you weren't considering it, right? And now we're having an honest I'll be like, my ex-wife, she's been giving me shit and asking me to sell, and and then it's like and I'm not saying it's going to be a screaming hot lead,
right?
But the more we sharpen that saw on working these difficult leads, A, when they get easy, they seem really easy now, and B, the next time we come across the sarcastic false yes, we're even better at converting him into a real lead.
Wow. Yeah. Unbelievable. How many cold calls do you think you've done in your company? You do just a ton.
Yeah. So right now we're doing 50,000 dials a week. And
Holy
this
shit.
was not the busiest we've ever been. I'm actually looking up numbers from last year. We're at 65,000 dials a week. I think it's roughly, that's a week. I don't know. I have to really take this to paper, but I would say we've done about 10 million. I'd say 10 to 12 million cold calls is what we've accomplished.
That's incredible. Yeah. There was a time way back in the day, we, I started broke, like bandit signs, driving for dollars. And then we went to direct mail. And then we joined Brent Daniels' program, talked to people. And we got the bright idea that we should open a call center ourselves. It was so smart. It was the greatest decision ever. We rented this office next to ours. We built out cubicles.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, we did with 5/8 drywall. We had computers, double monitors, built the whole thing out for like 18 or 20 callers. And it was the worst experience of my life. It was the worst thing ever.
Yeah, I'll tell you, cold calling is the worst job.
It is.
My employees, they're literally godsends. Yeah. I have 3 employees right now working 65 hours a week because they want, and these are Americans. These aren't. Yeah. So one thing I offer is American and foreign callers. It's easy to get a foreign caller to sit in front of a computer for $5 an hour.
Yeah. And honestly, I know we didn't plan on talking about this, but they're terrible. I get these calls every day because I have properties all over, and I know it's a spam call, and every so often I'll pick it up just to see. and there's just nothing there. It's like, yeah, I made the call. I didn't even say. They're just screwing you so bad.
Well,
It's terrible.
and not just that, but now there's so I don't know what the hell this most recent TCPA law did, but ever since that son of a bitch passed, I'm getting 15 spam calls a day since
Really?
and I think it's because they're shutting down texting more. So now like everyone's back on calls. But to your point, as soon as I hear that, I'm like, there's no way this is anybody of any interest to me.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And if they were, they would be paying someone a little bit more to do this with.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think the sad thing is they're taking advantage of some investor who's paying them to make calls too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely did want to talk about the new laws. Hopefully we have time, but like my partner the other day did like a house loan thing, like online. Like she's like, within 30 seconds after I hung up the phone, I'm getting text messages. It's just, it's fucking crazy.
Well, and that's a funny thing about all this regulation, right? Is I don't want to say this is not legal advice, but all this, it's all kind of like a fugazi. I get text messages and cold calls all day long. I get robo dials all day fucking long. Now, that doesn't mean that we should all do that, but I will say there's a big difference between regulation and enforcement. Okay. I remember years ago when drones got popular. They were like, oh, you can't fly a drone over here. Yeah, is there a drone police that's going to like pop out of a bush like with a little whistle?
That's what I say. The FHA police. Nobody's jumping.
Yeah, it's like there's no yes, that is the regulation, but they don't know what to do. Whose drone is in the sky, anyways? Like, how are they going to find me on the ground if my drone's a mile away? But what happens is the regulation is the beginning. Enforcement comes, right? It always comes. But, we have to look at those things. Now, the new laws, I'll recap for some people. What it did, the one that passed January 27th, is it made robo-dialing, well, that's been illegal. But this one classified AI as robo-dialers specifically. So now AI is officially illegal to call. And what that does is that's an economy thing, right? The government does not want you to pay a $1 billion AI company to make a cold call. They want you to pay an American to sit on the phone. So now that American has dollars and they can go out and fuel the economy. So that's why we have actual dialers. We have Americans or foreign callers for you to choose from. And with us, that having that actual person makes us legal. And that's because, like I said, they want the money, right? The government, when that person goes out and spends money at businesses, it fuels everybody.
Right. So guys, we didn't talk about this whole lot. I know we don't have a ton of time left, but Nicholas owns probably one of the best, I would say, by far, quality cold calling companies in the country, Lead Mining Pros. And they primarily have a lot of American callers, but now they've just brought in some foreign callers that are really super high trained and just good quality. And I know I see people posting in groups all the time about you, brother, about how good it is. And I bought the $1,500 package and I got 4 contracts and made, 200,000 or some ridiculous thing. Because I think people can tell that you care and you want to make sure that, that they're getting more than their money's worth.
Well, that's one of the big things that I offer. So anyone who goes to my website, which is leadminingpros.com, they can book a call with me, or my cell phone number's on there. And I want you to call me before you buy, because I'm going to tell you what to buy. Because I do offer Americans, foreigners, and text messaging, there are certain markets where certain things work, right? Well, let me guide you to that best decision. And with us, we're no contracts, no commitments. So you can come in, send out 1,000 text messages, spend 3 weeks working the leads, come back, get 1,000 more text messages. It's like, it's a real convertible system, right? And let's be honest, as small business owners, dude, I fucking hate overhead. If there's a single option, it's like, oh, here's monthly. Yeah, what's the one-time fee cost? Because I never want to pay this shit again.
Well, as you know, we're going to that as well. Guys, thank you so much for popping on. I promised you 20 minutes. I wanted to have Nicholas on because, one, he's just the fucking best guy there is. He's entertaining as hell. He's smart, and he's the fucking best at the business. So Lead Mining Pros, jump over there. We'll put a link in the comments, and make sure you're using him.